Now, as we make this transition, I want to remind you, too, tomorrow, March 4th? Tomorrow,
Yes.
the latest Rick and Bubba double CD, Wow What a Wheel, should be in iTunes tomorrow. It'll join all the others that are there. And you can get the whole catalog on iTunes. Some of the hard copies no longer exist, but they're all on iTunes. And the store will tell you what hard copies are still there. But anyway, Wow What a Wheel, for those of you that wait for the iTunes day, that's supposed to be tomorrow. All right, as we get back, I had an epiphany yesterday. I was just going to, and I think this is going to help some people. Now, some of you,
I can't say that word, epiphany.
Epiphany. And what we've been doing, Sherry, my wife, is doing media in Atlanta, in the Atlanta market today, and for the book Bronner, A Journey to Understand. And we're in the back of that book, there is actually a reader's guide or slash a Bible study that you can do, and a lot of people have been doing that. And I'm actually doing a Bible study with some younger men, and then with some guys like us, older men, and we're actually going through it, and it's got all the different, like I said, the book has 230 scriptures in it, so it's light on commentary and strong on biblical truth, and so anyway, we were going through it, and of course, obviously, you think about the topic and the story that kind of spawned this journey to understand and grasp it. So you can think about this. So I was thinking, and we experience this, guys, ourselves. Mm-hmm. So you guys will chime. You will say, you know what, Burgess is right. I remember this. Now I realize that there's a lot of angst, and rightfully so, about this the state of our country. We talked about last hour. We're going on ad nauseum about Hillary and Bernie, and he's getting all this, and oh my gosh, who is Trump, and what's going to happen there, and we don't know, and it's got everybody kind of, I will say this, and it just hit me yesterday. I really am going to participate, going to do my part, as we all should as citizens of this country, and Christians should as well. But at the end of the day, I'm not really going to fret over it, because in my opinion, when you look at those of us who if you share our faith and you're a member of the church, I'm talking about followers of Christ, guys, we're going to win here. Okay? I mean, this really cannot turn out badly for us either way. And I'll tell you why. And we saw it. We had an example of it that happened here, and we'll talk about it. And I've seen the example of the topic of the book. At the end of the day, if this thing goes south, either way, let me give you the first one, the one that probably most of us, if we were honest, including me, would prefer. Everything goes great. Thumbs up. We get blessed by God. America returns to the Constitution. The economy grows, and we start thinking, hey, instead of thinking that it's going to be worse for our kids for the first time in a generation, it may actually be better. And hey, we're growing, everything's great, and we're celebrating, and it's like the Roaring '20s, and we're just whatever, and we're all excited, like the '80s. But then
the greatest decade mankind has ever seen.
So you go to yourself, okay, that'd be all right. I worry about my kids, I fret at night, I worry about all this, and understood. But let's say that it goes the other way. It goes south, whether it's Trump takes us south or Hillary takes us south, or we just continue the skid that we're on. If you look at history and you look in your individual lives, or I can look in mine, whenever things go south, the church thrives. Whenever things go south, the gospel is advanced unlike anything else when things go south. So really, for those of us that say and believe, I do. As a matter of fact, it's a process at our house, and we're still rolling. But at the center of our house, our goal as a family, and at the center of this show, our goal is, all the other stuff's important, we have fun with it, whatever, is to advance the gospel, to go for a well done, to be able to stand in front of Jesus Christ and hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And before he ascended, he said what? Make disciples. Teach people to obey my commands, baptize people in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I'm going to prepare a place. I'll be coming back. And then he gave us all sorts of parables that when the boss returns, he expects you to give him a return on what he gave you, and he expects you to be about his business, and you don't know when he's coming back. So you need to be treating every day that he could come back. So I will tell you this. If this thing goes south, it's just going to make my job easier. I become the guy who's got plywood and the hurricane's coming. Everybody wants to buy from me. I'm sitting there with the plywood, and everybody says, hey, man, I want to talk to you. If these guys in the show, if you remember, does anybody remember how it was? We didn't have our own studio then. I talked about this with the guys in the Bible study yesterday. We worked in somebody else's studio.
Right.
We were in another building. Does anybody remember 9/11? Mm-hmm. Does anybody remember how packed the churches were? Loaded, packed to the brim. Now, they're not now. Everybody's drifted on back. But you remember, and I'm not exaggerating, Bub, you hold me accountable.
Oh, I know. I agreed when you said it yesterday.
People were coming to us and asking us about Jesus. We didn't even have to go find them. They were coming to us in the building. You know why? They were scared. You know what they started thinking about? Hey, man, what's going to happen to me when I die? Hey, this thing's going south. We're under attack. Our country may be taken over. Everywhere I turn, I don't know whether somebody's going to blow up my car, going to blow up my building, going to crash some plane into. You realize when those planes were dropping out of the sky, we didn't know how many were going to drop out of the sky.
Yeah, at one point we thought there might be 100 of them that day.
And people were scared. Mm-hmm. And you know what happens when people suffer? They start caring about their eternity. They want so. Hey, look, I'm gonna do what I got to do. I'm gonna get on my face before the Lord. I pray that he shows mercy and he blesses this country like he has in the past. That'd be fine if that's his call. But if he decides to refine us out, I don't care. Bring it on. I mean, because you know what? It's just going to make – hey, look, when I go out there sometimes and speak at churches and it's like banging your head on the wall and I can tell everybody's worried about where they're going to go to lunch, it won't be like that when everybody starts worried about what's going to happen. That altar will be full of people coming to give their life to Jesus. It always has been. It always will be. So you know,
like you said, there's a long history there.
Yeah. So if the hurricane comes, I got plywood to sell. And how about this? I'll do real well. If the hurricane doesn't come, okay, I'll take the plywood and put it up. But
if it rains, we got boats.
Yeah. It's still there. So it ain't gonna do anything but make my life easier, frankly, because all that's gonna matter at the end of this thing is what you did for the kingdom. That's all that's gonna matter. And so it'll just make life simpler. That's the center of what we're trying to do right now with our family, what really this show is all about. So, guys, I got news for you. If you're a follower of Jesus Christ, however this goes, it's John 16:33. Y'all have heard us say that 1,000 times. I say this so that you'll have peace. In this world you will face tribulation. Not you might, you will. But when it happens, take heart because I've overcome the world. We got the answer. And it'll just simply make advancing the gospel simpler. So it's a win-win. I don't care how it goes. I don't lay awake worrying about this. I sleep like a baby, and if we end up with somebody who gets the job done, great, okay. They showed mercy, and now I will tell you this: it's hard. It is harder to bring people to Jesus when they got everything they think they need. I will tell you that.
That's really a good example of the eye of the needle. I think. Yeah, I think that's really where that was headed.
The young ruler. I mean, he loved what Jesus had to say, and he knew what Jesus was doing. But Jesus said, "Well, what about if this scenario presents itself? Sell everything you got and then follow me." He's like. And what did it say? Why did he walk away with his head down? Why? Because he had a lot. Now, I don't know what happened to him. He may eventually made that decision. But on that day, Jesus Christ himself, which I always use an example too, don't get upset when people reject the gospel. If you present the gospel, they rejected Jesus himself saying it. You know what? You know what Jesus didn't do? That's just where I'm going to get in trouble. He didn't chase after him. And he said, wait a minute. He said, okay. You made your choice. But any of us who go to hell got to crawl across the cross to get there. You don't send anybody to hell. We send ourselves to hell. But what's going to happen?
And Rick, too, one of the things that's always, really hit home with me, since you brought that up, was when he told the disciples to go out and spread the good news. And he said, when the town rejects you, dust your sandals off. Yeah. Get out of there.
He did. So I want y'all to know, if the hurricane comes, the church has got the plywood. Jesus is sitting here ready to receive any of you. And really, if you don't have him, it don't make a rip who the president is. It ain't going to mean nothing. Mm-hmm. So do what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to live. We are supposed to vote. We should be involved. But let not your heart be troubled. Either way this goes, we're going to be all right. And frankly, if it goes south, it's just going to make my job easier. We'll be back in 16 minutes past the hour. So I slept real good last night.